Dear you, I know exactly what you were doing at 2 o'clock in the morning last night. The world outside your window was completely silent. The room was pitch black, and your face was illuminated by the cold blue glow of your phone. But you were not reading the news. You were not looking at social media. You were scrolling deep, dangerously deep, into your own camera roll. You were looking at a photograph of yourself from 5, maybe 7 years ago. You stared at the background of that picture, a specific apartment you no longer live in, a group of friends you no longer speak to, a completely different era of your own life. You looked at the expression on your younger face, and a sudden, devastating wave of heavy, suffocating grief violently crashed over your chest. You looked at that ghost on the screen, and a freezing, agonizing thought echoed in the dark. I was so much happier then. I felt so much more alive. How did I end up here? Welcome to the most deeply devastating, entirely invisible psychological sickness of the year 2026. You are suffering from the terminal, suffocating disease of chronic nostalgia. You have become a prisoner to your own rearview mirror. Look at the incredibly tragic, deeply hidden way you navigate your existence today. You are living in an era of unprecedented, terrifying acceleration. The modern world is chaotic, hyper-digital, economically brutal, and completely overwhelming. The future feels like a massive, unpredictable threat. And because your brilliant, exhausted nervous system cannot handle the crushing uncertainty of tomorrow and cannot tolerate the sterile, demanding reality of today, it built a time machine. It completely retreated into the only place where the ending is already known. It retreated into the past. Let us be brutally, painfully honest about the immense psychological torture you are putting yourself through. You are haunting your own life. You treat your memories like a perfectly curated, beautifully lit museum, and you have appointed yourself as the permanent, miserable night watchman. You walk through your current physical life entirely dissociated. You go to a coffee shop. You sit with your current partner or your current friends, and your physical body is there. But your soul is 3,000 miles away, desperately clinging to the ghost of a summer from a decade ago. You are constantly, obsessively comparing your perfectly adequate, beautiful present reality to a highly edited, completely fabricated highlight reel of your own history. And the most devastating part of this trap, you are mourning a past that never actually existed the way you remember it. Your brain is lying to you. When you look back at that specific year, you only remember the golden hour lighting. You only remember the wild laughter, the intoxicating feeling of limitless potential, and the beautiful novelty of being young. You completely edit out the crushing anxiety you felt back then. You edit out the heartbreak, the confusion, the terrible jobs, and the sleepless nights. You have airbrushed your history, turned it into a cinematic masterpiece, and now you are weaponizing that masterpiece against your actual, bleeding, magnificent life today. Do you realize what this obsession with the past is actually doing to you? It is turning your present chapter into an epilogue. You are walking around completely convinced that your best days are definitively, mathematically behind you. You believe that the grand, magnificent story of your life has already peaked. The climax has already happened, and now you are just killing time. You are just running out the clock, waiting for the credits to roll, going through the monotonous motions of adulthood in a gray, entirely joyless simulation. You look at the mirror today and you feel a profound, aching betrayal. You feel like you let that younger version of yourself down. You say to yourself, I had so much potential. I was so vibrant. Where did that fire go? You feel so incredibly heavy. You are carrying the dead weight of all your past identities on your back, dragging them through the year 2026, utterly terrified to let them go, because you are afraid that if you drop them, you will have absolutely nothing left. You are drowning in the phantom waters of yesterday, desperately begging for a way to feel that old magic again. But you are completely paralyzed by the fear that the magic is gone forever. Take a deep, violent breath of air. I need you to pull that breath all the way down into the very bottom of your lungs. Hold it there. Feel the heavy, undeniable tension vibrating inside your chest. Feel the solid, physical reality of the floor beneath your feet. Now, exhale with a massive, heavy sigh. I am giving you the absolute, unconditional permission to close the museum. Listen to my voice and let this profound, unshakable truth shatter the heavy glass around your mind. The magic did not live in the year 2018. The magic did not live in that old apartment, or in that old relationship, or in that specific younger version of your body. The magic lived inside of you. It was your consciousness, your deeply feeling heart, and your wild, beautiful spirit that made those memories so magnificent. And that exact same spirit is still sitting right here, breathing inside your chest in this exact fraction of a second. It is time to commit the most radical, terrifying, and spectacularly beautiful act of rebellion imaginable in the modern world. You must aggressively, fiercely divorce yourself from the ghost of who you used to be. Tomorrow morning, I want you to wake up and completely sever the anchor. Stop looking over your shoulder. You are not heading in that direction. The past is a beautiful place to visit, but it is a toxic, suffocating, entirely dead place to live. You cannot pull the past into the present, but you are absolutely destroying the present. By trying, you must relearn how to inhabit the heavy physical reality of today. The reason the past felt so incredibly vibrant is because back then, you were actually paying attention. You were fully immersed in the messy, chaotic, beautiful friction of the moment. You can have that exact same electricity today, but you have to actually show up for it. You must consciously choose to stop comparing the raw, unedited footage of your current life to the heavily photoshopped trailer of your history. When a wave of nostalgia hits you, do not let it pull you under. Acknowledge it, whisper a quiet thank you for the beautiful experience, and then violently force your focus back to the physical room you are standing in. There is an immense, roaring fire waiting for you right here in the terrifying, magnificent unknown of your future. You have not peaked. The greatest, most profound, most breathtakingly beautiful chapters of your human experience have not even been written yet, but they require your absolute, undivided attention to unfold. Forgive yourself for haunting your own life. You were just seeking comfort in a world that felt completely overwhelming. But the tomb is empty. There is nothing left for you back there. Drop the heavy burden of your own history. Step entirely out of the archives. Breathe in the thick, vibrant, undeniably real air of the exact imperfect place you are standing in right now. Your life is not a fading echo. Your life is a massive, ongoing, wildly unpredictable symphony, and the music is playing beautifully right now. You are entirely ready to join the living. Now, open your eyes, turn your face toward the future, and finally let it all go.